Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kevin, and today I'm going to be making a wacky novelty magnet. This was supposed to be a quick and easy project. Well, I worked on some more elaborate prints, but then I made it take a really long time after I royally screwed up the painting. Today I'll show you what I did and give you 5 tips so you can avoid the big mistakes that I made. This all started several months ago when my wife found a post on Reddit about people being constipated on cruise ships. I never saw the original thread, and I'm not sure it exists at this point, but my wife found one comment in there which said something like, "I have never once needed laxatives on a cruise." We thought that was pretty funny, and it became a bit of a running joke, so I decided I was going to put it on a fridge magnet as a bit of a prank. I started in GIMP and used an existing magnet design to get the right silhouette. I don't like the idea of ripping off someone else's work, but I was comfortable doing this because I knew I would be changing so many details that the final result would be unrecognizable. I mostly used this to get the rough outline for the bow and the approximate placement for the rows of windows. I'm quite proud of the modeling. It was quick, and this was on track to be a small but really fun project. There was one small issue with the ship's hull, which was probably my fault because I was tinkering with some of my printer's settings. I applied some wood filler, sanded this down, and then primed the front, at which point it was ready to paint. Before painting, I decided to glue in the magnets, which went terribly. The magnets jumped around and stuck to each other, as magnets tend to do, and in the chaos, I glued myself to every single magnet as well as the print. I included space for 11 magnets, because I wasn't sure how many I'd need. Thankfully, just 4 was enough to keep this on my fridge, which was a relief because I wasn't sure I'd survive any more rounds of gluing. The right solution would have been to redistribute these magnet holes so there was a little more space between them. I put them all right in the center because the print is relatively thin and the center was where I had the depth to do this. Still, I think I should have put a little more time and effort into distributing these, and I probably would have had an easier time gluing this. Moving on to painting, I started by adding black to all of the windows, because I knew I wouldn't be able to reliably reach these after applying the other colors. Afterwards, I also painted the lettering black, which I came to regret. With the black windows painted on, I started adding the white to the ship. This was where I made my first big painting mistake. I was so concerned with getting the borders between the white and the black correct that I applied more paint than I wanted to. This created some buildup and a bit of a rough texture, which made the final result look a lot less crisp. Next, I went to paint on the blue sky around the black lettering, which was my second big mistake. This took me an hour and 15 minutes just to do the first coat, and I still messed up parts. I don't think I was wrong to try doing it this way, just because I had never painted small black lettering like this before. What I should have done differently is cut my losses pretty early in the process and try to find a better solution. For the lower set of letters, I just painted over everything, since I now knew it was going to be faster to just paint the black on the letters instead of doing the detailing all around them. This is when I made my third big painting mistake, which has to do with color choice. I immediately knew that I hated this color, but I had already slathered it all over the place. I should have done a quick color test before committing to this. I could have put a little bit of paint on and checked how it looked. I could have mocked this up in GIMP, or I could have even just set the colors in Blender, which would have taken me maybe 5 minutes, and I could have tried out a bunch of different options. This would have been a really smart thing to do, and it's something that I'm going to try to do more often going forwards. Once the colors were on, I went back and touched up the black lettering on the bottom. Overall, I think I spent about 4 hours painting this, with most of that time just going into the lettering. I think my fourth big mistake was not doing any research. I mentioned this to a friend, and she immediately suggested a hack which would have saved me hours. I think that next time, instead of jumping in there with my paintbrush, I need to take 5 minutes and do at least one Google search. After the lettering, I went and cleaned up some of the details on the ship, while also applying some white metallic folk art paint to give it a little bit of a shine. While I was at it, I thought it might be a really cool effect to do some of this white, semi-translucent paint over the blue of the waves, so I decided to give it a try. I immediately hated it and had to repaint these waves. I'd say my last big mistake was trying that out on the actual magnet instead of on some side piece where I could make as many mistakes as I wanted. That was dumb, especially when I was this close to the end. I applied a quick layer of clear coats, and this was done. This was a fun little project, which could have been quick to do if I hadn't made so many mistakes. The quality, honestly, could be better, but I'm not going to obsess over it because this was made to be a one-off prank, and my wife and I had a good laugh when I unveiled it. If you've made it this far, I hope you'll like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll post all the files on Thingiverse, in case you want to make your own for some reason. I'll be back next month with another project, so until next time.